So I know I said in the last video that next we were gonna check out functional harmony, but then I thought, you know, it might be good to first get an example of all the stuff that we've learned so far. And if you feel like you're completely comfortable with it, you can skip this video. But if you feel like some more practice is in order, then I just want to go over all of the things in one video and give you some chord progressions. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose a scale, and I'm gonna choose C minor once again for the same reasons. And I should note that of course, because we're working inside a DAW, it's very easy to transpose our whole progression to a different key, starting on a different note. But I do think it's good to get practice with all of the scales. That's more sort of your personal project, to start learning all the scales and be able to recognize intervals in all of the scales. But for now, just to get the vocabulary of music theory, we're gonna stick with C, and let's stick with C minor for this video. So that's gonna be our scale, C minor, and then our next step is to harmonize the scale. Now we've done this before, so I'm gonna be fairly quick about this. First, what we'll do is we'll put in all of the notes of the scale. So C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and B flat. All right, so those are all the notes, and once again, I'm going to just put those up here for our reference, so that we can always see those, and I now muted those. All right, so now we're going to harmonize this scale. So let's do this thing again. But this time we're going to make the full chord. So we have a C chord here, and let's transpose that down. And then our next chord is going to be a D chord, and this is going to be a D diminished chord. Then we get an E flat major chord. Then we get an F minor chord. And then we get a G minor chord. And for this, we can look at the chord steps for every scale. So which chords are major, which chords are minor, or we can use the technique of counting inside the scale. So now we've harmonized the scale. All right, and now what we can do is we can actually I'll remove these guys, and then I'll just put this up there, and I'll mute those. We can choose from any of these chords to make our progression. So let's just start, kind of a common thing to do, with C minor. And then after that, let's maybe try F minor. We would call this the 4 chord, because it's built upon the 4th scale degree. And for now, I'm going to keep all of these in root inversion. And root inversion means that the chord is in the order at which is like normal. So you have the 1, and then the 3rd, and then the 5th. We're going to invert these later on. And inverting means that we take one of the notes and we transpose it up or down. But to start with, I'll have them all in root position. Actually, I'll put this 1 octave lower. All right, so we have that, and then let's see what kind of chords do we have. We could choose the 3 chord, so an E flat chord. And then maybe a 5 chord. So right now, if I play this is going to sound a little bit clunky. But it sounds good, and it sounds in tune. And what we can do to make it sound a little bit more smooth, I guess, is to take some of these notes and transpose them up or down an octave. And we could make the progression go up in total. So right now, it sort of has this upward going motion. But we could also make it go down. If we take these C's here, for example, we can transpose those up. And then we can take this one, transpose it up as well. So now it moves down, and generally this gives a more sort of sad feeling. And that's the same for melodies. When the pitch goes down, it feels like, yeah, I don't know, it has sort of this sad feeling often. Now what could we do? We could now repeat these chords. This one. I'll just copy this a couple of times, and then we only need to change the notes. So here we could use another E flat chord like that, and then we could use maybe another F chord, which was a minor chord. And then let's try to use a 7 chord. All right. So that sounds nice, sounds sort of finished. Alright, so that's one progression. Let's try, and of course now we could very easily move this to, for example, the key of A. So now we have a progression in A minor, because the note that was previously C, this one, is now A. So everything still works there. Now next let's go with a major scale, and let's start with C major, so a C major chord, and then we'll go, so without harmonizing this time, we'll go with the let's go with the 5 chord, which is going to be G, B, and D, and then maybe with the 3 chord, which is going to be E, G, and B. That's a minor chord. And then we can use the 2 chord, which is also a minor chord, like that. And then maybe 7th. The 7th was diminished, so it's going to have more tension. And after that we'll choose a 6 chord, which is A minor in this case. Alright, so that's everything in root inversion. And now let's start to mess with this. So the only thing I'm doing is I'm selecting some notes and transposing them up or down. This might sound nice. Maybe I'll use this one here, and here I want to add a 5 chord. So it's going to be G and D and B. B would be the 3rd. Right, and that feels very finished right now. And the reason it sounds finished is something we're going to talk about in the functional harmony videos. One more thing, just for fun, let's try to add a melody with this. And one common thing to do is to choose melody notes that are from the chord. So on top of every chord with our melody, we can pick any of these 3 notes. So for the first chord, we could pick C, and we could pick an E, and we could pick a G. So let's maybe start with a G and then go to a C. And then for this next chord, we could choose a B or a D or a G. So let's choose a B. And then here, what should we do? We can try an E. So I'm just looking at the chords that are right below this, and I'm choosing notes from that. Let's listen to this. Okay, and let's create a little bit of a faster movement here. And maybe let's add a passing note. A passing note is a note that's technically not in the chord, but if you, or not technically, that's just not in the chord, but if you quickly go past it, it doesn't really matter that much. It's not going to sound dissonant, even though that C and that B would clash. And then here we need to go down. Maybe let's try an A. And then we could copy this whole thing and we could repeat it for the second half of the phrase, but then make it match again with the chords. So here, rather than a G, we have an F, so I'm going to lower this to the closest chord tone, which is a very common thing to do. And then this one could be a B rather than a C. And or actually, let's try to keep it a C, because here I want to use that B as well. And then let's see, this is all fine. And then here, maybe let's go to an A instead, so we'll make it go down further. Yeah, let's try this. Very official sounding melody, because it can sound a little bit old-fashioned sometimes if you use only chord tones, because it's very strict sort of melodic writing, and I didn't like this melody here, so let's change that to maybe a D. And maybe this one, I want it to be a B. Yep, I like that, very solid. So this very quickly hopefully shows you how to work with the stuff that we've learned so far, how to actually use all of these techniques inside a MIDI editor to actually create a song. So next we're finally ready to start talking about the really exciting stuff, which is functional harmony.